We're back.
And
it's
bro,
like we never left.
If I do have a lot of background noise, then I'm going to let you do majority of the speaking. I'll come in once in a bit.
When you're talking, it's fine.
It
It's when
isolates
you're
us.
not talking.
Okay, so I'll mute when I'm not
Mute
talking.
yourself when you're not.
No worries.
Yeah, Emily, I agree. That music is heavenly. And for whatever reason, it has just so been programmed into my mind as like Satori music that we were listening to it in the jungles of Colombia, like the actual full length song. And every time it would come on, I'd be like, oh my God, it's Satori. So it was really great. Stacy just finished going through module 6 of MMI. Holy shit balls. It's mind blowing. I'd love to hear more. And for those that are joining us, I'm just curious as you join, if you're new, like this is the first time you've ever been with us, are you already enrolled in either MMI, maybe our level 1 program, level 2, level 3, just kind of so we get a sense of who's here. Always nice to know who we're talking to and where you guys are at. Veronique, good to see you again. Alex, good to see you again. These are some of our amazing coaches that if you are in level 2 and level 3, you might have the privilege of meeting. Christina, that feels like someone new. Hello. We'll give it another minute here. Oh yeah. See, I was right. I'm good. Like strangely enough, like, I don't know. I just see certain people's names and I'm like, I haven't seen that one before. Amazing. Well, welcome to level 1. Very excited to have you. Yeah. And we were actually just on the coaches training. That's why I said hi to, hey, Andrea. I was saying hi to Andrea and Veronique and Alex, who are our coaches, or some of our coaches. And we were actually just having a conversation about level 1 and how we just completely lowered the investment options and given tons of people the opportunity to get into that program who probably have not been able to get into it previously. And we were just asked about it. So it feels good. You know, it's like, I think I shared this with you guys before. We were in Colombia and the medicine was very specific about us lowering our prices, to which I said, you crazy girl. Why would we do something like that? To which she said, if you trust me, then you will. And I said, do trust you.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping that that's, impacting, like our mission is obviously to impact as many people's lives through this mission. So it's quite amazing. Awesome. That's beautiful.
I have an idea. Why don't you, before we jump into the conversation today, why don't you position what we're doing new for these calls in terms of what you're offering now? Then we'll put that thing up on the screen so it's here in perpetuity, and then people can take advantage of it because people come in and out. So it's like we're up front. People kind of know what they can do to talk with you. So I'll let you kind of talk about how you want to position that.
Okay. So Guy and I had a powwow, as we often do, with the intention of trying to figure out always, like how do we impact more people's lives? How do we share more about this work with the right people, et cetera? And so we were brainstorming and had this idea, which this is the first time we're ever going to offer it. So we're kind of going to see how this goes. And depending on how it goes, we'll decide if we're keeping it open or not. So what I've realized is for people, for example, like Elizabeth, or people like Christina who are or jumping through level 1, or maybe Stacy who's jumping in MMI, we realize like we have a pretty spectacular ascension model here. And a lot of people are not really aware of what that ascension model is, right? Like what level is when. So just to give you kind of like an overarching view, we have an Awareness Effect Academy, and there's 3 levels in the Awareness Effect Academy. And those 3 levels are predicated on the levels one needs to reach with their awareness. And so as you're moving and developing your awareness practices, there are 3 levels that we have basically mapped out. So like if you're looking on a map, you know, A to A, B, C, that's kind of what it is. Now, some people show up on these calls and they just want to be here live for these calls. And that's great. You have that opportunity. What we want to do though, is we want to bring forth an opportunity for those who are sitting and are already in our programs and just kind of wondering like, okay, what's next? You know, is this the right time for me? Not the right time for me? Is this the right program for me? Not the right program for me? Typically what I do, just so you guys know, in the past is we usually only have these conversations and open this up after a live event. So for those of you that have been in a live event, you know, like we offer an integration bundle, and in that integration bundle, you have an opportunity to speak with me directly and actually get a coaching session. So what we want to do is, Guy's going to drop the link here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open my personal calendar. So these are going to be 30-minute long sessions, one-on-one with me, specifically for people who are ready to move forward or wanting to move through the levels and want to pick my brain, want to ask me my opinion, want to get additional support from me, etc. And so we're going to start to open this up on Tuesdays. And Broski, what did we slate it at? You're muted.
Trying to be not so naughty. So we're it's slated for $111 to get on Elon's calendar. And the upside is if you do decide to join a program, we will credit that balance over to whatever program you join as well. But essentially, you're getting a coaching call with Elon for 30 minutes for $111, which is pretty much unheard of. We've never done something like that before. Just so you guys know, our typical rates are between $1,500 and $2,000 per hour. So it's a really beautiful opportunity to connect deeper, get a lot of insight, from Elon, who's been doing his work for almost 21 years now, has been coaching for 18 years now, and just to get that direct experience with him is a really special thing. So we thought this would be a cool thing. We'll try it. We'll see if it feels good. We're always moving and shifting depending on what feels good for us. So this opportunity may be just available this week, maybe available in perpetuity, where we just kind of throw things out there. We see how they work. They see how we feel with it, and we see if the impact that we're trying to create is there. So, we'll leave that up for now. If, at any time you feel like that's something you want to take advantage of, please dive right in, get on his calendar, have a chat, and see how else we can support you. Okay.
I just want to make one thing very, very clear. Oh, two things very, very clear, because Guy pointed to one is the $100, the $111 is basically like think of it as like a show up fee, right? Like my time is incredibly valuable. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is people canceling last minute or like not showing up to calls. Like it irritates me, right? And so when we don't do something like that, there's this phrase that we learned a long time ago: people pay to pay attention. When things are free, you treat it as free. My time is not free. So I want to be very, very, very clear about that. Okay. So the $111 is basically you putting your ass on the line and saying, I'm going to show up. Right. And again, like I said, if you choose to move forward with any of our programs, then you just basically are putting like a deposit towards whatever it is that you're going to invest in. Now, who is this for and who is this not for? This is not for people that have been on a call with me before. This is not an opportunity to get a, basically free coaching session from Elon. It's none of those things. This is truly a conversation I obviously will coach you. I don't know how to turn it off. It is a conversation to look at where you're at and get very clear direction from me on what would be the next best opportunity for you to invest in, right? So what we're going to do is you're going to fill that out. If you haven't already filled out a questionnaire, I know some of you guys already have, so I can reference that. If not, then, I'll have you fill out a questionnaire before we got on so we can like really maximize our time together and really dive into the area that is kind of stuck or you're wanting a transformation in. And then we'll dive into that, and then I'll share with you, how we can support you on moving through that as quickly as humanly possible. So I hope that lands well for people and people take up that opportunity, because it really is a really sweet opportunity to get coaching. And
I also just want to say, obviously because of Elon's limited amount of time, he has limited spots that we'll be offering this on a weekly basis. So we're going to start with 5. I saw Christina already got the first one, which is awesome. So congratulations, Christina. So yeah, so if you really want to talk to Elon this week, jump in ASAP on that. It's going to be wildly, hopefully mind-alteringly, mind-blowingly valuable for you. I mean, I have no doubt that that's what's going to be the reality here. There's just something Elon can offer on a one-on-one that we just simply can't offer in any other environment. And like Elon said, our intention right now, what we're really striving for, is to build a much bigger foundation in the community, support a lot more of you guys than we have in the past. And so we've spent the last, I would say 12 to 18 months building out some pretty significant systems to be able to do that. And so we're ready to open the gates and unleash the Kraken and kind of just see what happens here over the next 12 months as, we go from supporting a few hundred people a year to thousands, potentially tens of thousands here over the next year. So it's an exciting time in our community. We thank you guys for being part of it. And it's over there on the side of your screen. And I say, let's dive into something.
Yeah. All right. So we'll leave that up there, and then you guys can jump into that whenever you like. Was there something specific that you wanted to rock and roll about today, or?
As you please.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was something that you already had in mind. Can you just mute?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So we were actually talking about this on the coaches training as well today. And like, when people ask me what it is that we do here, it's always like, how do we explain, so for people who are like Stacy, who's going through MMI, and Christina, who's joined, and Elizabeth, who's completing level 1. It's like, is there anything that we could have said that would have explained to you the journey that you are going on? Right. And chances are no. Like, it doesn't matter how much we try to put this into words, it becomes moot, because the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. And so it doesn't matter how much words and how much description and explanation, like, none of it matters, because there's a huge difference between how we try to verbalize things and you being on the court and unlocking these aspects of yourselves and being able to see certain things and liberating them and receiving support from a live human and a live community. I can't explain to someone in words what that does. So I always feel like, I don't know if deflated is the right word, but that's what I'm just going to go with. I'm always feeling a little like, And so we were talking on the coaches training today, and I was saying that, like, to me and the work that I do, I've really stopped giving a fuck about good days, good moments, bad moments. Like, that stuff's going to come, right? Like, people get sick, people leave, people die, bank accounts go up, bank accounts go down, people have jobs, people lose jobs, people have homes, people lose homes. Fucked up shit happens all over the world. You know, Guy and I are from Israel, so you can imagine like what we've been dealing with and how that whole thing has been for us. All that stuff is going to continue to happen. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and maybe you can just tell me if I'm batshit crazy. What I'm noticing is that there's like really intense, powerful energies in the world, in the collective right now. And it feels like we are moving in hyperdrive speed. I don't like, my experience is that the things keep happening. They're just happening so much faster than they ever have. It just feels like we're in this like hyper fast chamber of just deal with this, deal with this, deal with this, deal with this. And I'm talking at like the micro level and the macro level. You know, if you think about just in the last, since 2020, in the last 3 years, what has happened globally? I'm not even talking about like in our personal lives, just globally for human race. It is insanity. And it's like, just when you think like, oh, this thing is, it's like, no, here's the next one. And then here's the next one. Now, I don't foresee that that's going to slow down in the coming years. It feels to me like we're going through this massive transition as humanity, like a massive awakening, right? And as we get to that tail end of it, it is just going to get faster and faster and faster and more intense and more intense and more intense. Now, I watch people all over the world, some that I know, some that I just see online. And most people are very, very poorly equipped to deal with the transitions and the changes that are underway globally. And it's leaving people stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, popping pills, smoking drugs, drinking, eating, doing all of these things to numb their experience of reality in the hopes of like, if I stick my head in the sand long enough, maybe this whole thing will just blow over and it'll all be okay. And I'm like, I don't know about you. I just don't see that as a good plan of attack. Because I honestly think that where we're going and how things are moving, if you're not going to be willing to invest your time, your energy, and your money into learning new ways of being with reality as it's coming, you're going to become extinct. And I don't even know how else to like describe it, but if you think about how fast technology is moving, how fast like all of it is happening, right? Like if you can imagine your grandparents when VCRs came out, you guys all remember that? It was like, where's the play button? I need to rewind. How to? And we were like, Grandma, it's like just that button, just push the button, right?
I'm sorry, can you do that again? Can you do the grandma impression again? Because I don't remember our grandparents talking about VCRs or sounding like that at all. But that's
oh my God, you don't remember Savta Manya? Like Tzvi was incredible. Remember Tzvi's like would sit, like you would learn once, he was learning the internet and like all this stuff. Every other grandparent of ours were like, huh? What button? What cable?
Either way, I think you should attempt to do the rest of this call in that voice. No, please
In that
don't.
voice.
No, please don't.
So to me, it's not just about like, okay, working a VCR is working a VCR, but like there's your life at stake. And for those who are parents, it's even more important because your kids are imprinting onto themselves at this very moment how you are dealing with and operating with reality. So if you're stressed, if you're anxious, if you're worried all the time, right? Like, you tell me, how is that not impacting the little ones in your house? And this is how they're learning and imprinting, because you're giving them a template, and this is how they're learning, like, oh, this is how I operate in the world. Now, some of you would sit all of them down and be like, do not do this. Please do not do this. Like, let's do it this way, that way. But as you've learned as a parent, they don't do what you tell them to do. They do what you see them doing. They do what they see you doing. And so my question is like, what are you doing? Are you hanging on and trying to survive this roller coaster that we're on? So to me, and I said this to Veronique earlier today, like, it's not about, she was saying like, I have good days and I have bad days. I was like, said more accurately, it's like, I have good moments and I have bad moments. And what that means is I have moments where I feel grounded, I feel centered, I feel support, I feel well-being, I feel safety, and I can just be with what is arising around me, right? Like, this comes through and I'm like, all right, that. This comes up and it's like, okay, that. You almost become like a duck with water, where like it touches you, but it doesn't go through you. It's kind of like beads off and you're like, no big deal, right? Now, every time that you react to something negatively or with worry or fear or anxiety or whatever it might be, what we're actually doing is we're energetically planting more seeds into our future, and then we walk into that. So every time that you operate from a place of fear, lack, worry, concern, what you're actually doing is you're planting seeds in the future that will have you walk into more fear, worry, lack, concern. Versus life is always going to keep coming. What if you can meet life in that centered place? And said another way, and this is like what I get so excited about today, is I'm very aware that life is going to throw me curveballs and shit's going to happen and things unexpectedly are just going to like, whatever. I know that's coming. I've done 21 years of work, and trust me, like, I have not met, it hasn't worked for me, but I haven't met a single practitioner, healer, coach, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't have shit happening in their lives. Everyone does. No matter how wealthy, no matter how famous, everyone has shit happening in their lives. How they deal with it is incredibly different. So for me, it's like yesterday, for example, I got really, really thrown, like really thrown. Something happened and it hit like this really, really young core part of me. And I was upset, angry at myself, angry at a situation, demoralized, feeling all those feelings of like, I'm a loser and I suck at life and blah, like all of it, right? All of that went through. What I get excited by is how fast I can get back into my alignment and how quickly I can regain all of those things. How quickly I can regain safety, well-being, centeredness. Because I'm committed to creating a future for both myself, Guy, my family, his family, our coaches, like everyone in this community. I'm committed to create the best possible future. I'm committed to be a template that other people can receive from, that shows you how to keep like finding that center. And so guess what happens in that? I'm going to fall a lot, like on my face, on my ass, on my side, like a lot.
Because you're looking, because you have the courage to look.
That's right. And like my game is to keep finding that place back into the center. Because from there, the seeds that I am planting are seeds of love, well-being, safety, contentment, happiness, joy, right? Like certainty. That's the future that I want to walk into. I don't want any of the other stuff. So if I'm reacting to life happening to me and I'm always like, then that's the future I also know I'm walking into. I don't want that. Not for me, not for my family, not for you. And so to me, it's like, what are you doing in your life at this moment that's giving you that level of strength? Right? Like, I'll give you like a complete shift of it, but it's kind of the same concept. I hurt my right shoulder. I don't know if you guys can see this. You see that? You see that pull-up bar?
We can see it.
Yeah. So that is my my door to my bathroom in my office. And I was like, oh, I'll play a game with myself. Every time I go to the bathroom, I'll do 10 pull-ups. Now, the door there is quite high, as you may or may not have been able to see. And so the only handles that I could reach without like a step or something were the handles where my hands were positioned this way. So I couldn't reach the ones that my hands were like wide, that way. So I was like, whatever, a pull-up's a pull-up, right? Little did I know, because A, I didn't have enough information, and B, I didn't think this through. Little did I know that when you do pull-ups this way, you're not actually engaging your back fully. What you're doing is engaging your biceps and the front shoulders. Okay, no big deal. However, when you're doing normal sets, which is like, I'm going to do 10, I'm going to rest for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, I'm going to do another 10 or try to do another 10, right? Like you get tired because you are constantly working the muscle. But when I go out there and I try to do 8, 10 every hour, I can easily do that. So my muscles are getting tired, but I don't feel the soreness to the point where I'm like, I need to do less. So I did this for about a week. I went out and played tennis, and just swinging a racket the way I normally do, something in my shoulder, which is actually the tendon from my bicep, I got tendonitis and bursitis from just that move. The irony is that I was actually trying to strengthen my body for purposes of tennis, and I fucked my shoulder / bicep by trying to do that. And Guy says this all the time, like, doing the wrong work consistently will get you really terrible results. So it's not about like doing something. It's about doing the right something consistently if you want the right results. So I did that. I hurt myself really bad. I ended up going through like, I don't know, I probably saw 5 different specialists to get like all sorts of input about what was happening, right? I did like cold laser, I did fascial counter strain, I did acupuncture, I did massaging, I did physical therapy, like I did everything, right? And each person told me that in order, and I've done a lot of research since, that in order to build strength, what I need to do is I actually need to strengthen the back of my body. So instead of like pushing motions or even this, I need to like pull and like, get the back engaged that way. And so what I realized is, like, in order to strengthen something in your body, the first thing that needs to happen is you need to impart stress on that part, right? If I'm trying to strengthen this, then what I need to do is I actually need to find movements that stress those aspects of my body.
Counter motion.
Right. And what does the stress do? The stress makes that part work harder. And then what you're doing is, like, you're literally tearing the muscle fibers. And then with the proper diet, again, this is important, with the proper diet, right? Like protein and amino acids help the muscle build. And the next time it's built stronger. Is this all making sense? You guys tracking this? So to me, where I'm at in life is like, okay, if I want to strengthen my ability to keep finding center, what do I need to create in my life? I need to create the stress by which I lose that center and then find a way to get back to that center as quickly as I can. And every time I do that, guess what I'm strengthening? My ability to bring myself and maintain that centeredness. So then it's like the analogy I use, it's like most people are like in a hurricane, right? But they're like on the edges of the hurricane, just being whipped around, and this thing is hooking them and that thing's, and they're just, then you have to like bring people with you because it's like, I can't be here alone. Everyone needs to be in my misery. Can't we all be mad together at this person or that circumstance? Like, right, I get to be right about being mad. Help you? Change anything in your life? Nope. You just have more people fucking spinning around with you. Irrelevant, because you still feel out of control. Finding the center that I'm talking about is like being in the center of that hurricane, watching all this stuff spin around you. And as these hooks fly out and try to grab you and bring you to that, you're like, nope, I'm not going for that ride this time. And that takes strength, real internal strength and resilience. I don't mean like even like bullshit muscle strength. I mean like strength. And so now when I'm faced with these opportunities, not negative things or like literally opportunity. Yesterday was an opportunity. I got thrown, I got flung, and I got hurled into that tornado. Like I didn't even have a choice. Like it came so fast, so hard. I didn't even have enough stability to like watch it. It was just like boom, boom. But yet I've developed so much stability that the second I'm out of it, it almost feels like wrong in my system. It's like, nope, don't want to be here. Nope, not okay. And then I have practices. I have people. I have support to get myself back into that place as quickly as humanly possible. And yesterday was like a stress test, if you will, for my internal system. And I got stronger. I literally left. Like I sat here on this couch and I did a mini with a friend of mine. And afterwards, she was like, how are you doing? I was like, I fucking feel great. Like it was shocking to me how fast I went from like, and I don't know if you guys notice this, but like when I get into those grimy, crunchy, dark places, instantly, my mind goes, like my awareness goes right into mind, and I'm just trying to process and figure it out. Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? How do I fix this? Like, and trust me, doing this for many years, that doesn't work at all. If you're in that place, you're actually feeding more of it. then the voice gets really loud and it starts telling you all these stories, and it's not now pulling shit from this time in your life and that time in your life and this, and it's just like, remember this, remember that, what about this, it's like the last time, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to engage in that. Like it's nonsense. And then you're just going around in a circle, right? So I don't make any choices, I don't make any decisions, I don't take any actions until I regain that place. And so if all you did for the rest of your life, I don't mean like for the next month, I mean literally for the rest of your life, if all you did was practice, practice, practice how to find that center and strengthen that muscle, strengthen that resolve. And everything that happens in your life is just another opportunity to strengthen that resolve. Guess what you get to? You get to a place where, first of all, life doesn't need to test you all that much. And even if it does, like most of the stuff, it doesn't even faze you. You're like, okay, so that showed up. Great. Every once in a while, though, like there's going to be a moment and it's going to sideswipe you. For some of you, it's probably constantly happening. And if it's constantly happening in your life, that should be like a wake up moment. Holy shit, it doesn't have to be this way. And that's this work. I know there's a very long explanation to what it is that we do, but like I can't make that in a 2-minute video for you to explain that. Like it just doesn't, I don't have the words, not yet at least. If that is something that you feel deeply is resonant and you're like, ooh, okay, yeah, I do that. And yeah, life does throw me. And yeah, I have been trying to process it from here. And obviously I can tell you, you don't need to tell me, like it doesn't work, right? There's another way. It's simple. It's really simple. It just takes you learning something new, which is going to make you feel like an idiot at times, because have you ever learned something new where you haven't felt like an idiot, right? Like it doesn't matter. That's part of the process. When we don't know something, we feel like an idiot. That's just kind of how it happens. So you got to be okay with that. But in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year, you're going to look at your life and go like, whoa, how did I just deal with that in that way? With my partner, with my kids, with my work, with my health, with my whatever. It will blow your mind because you will be so ready for some sort of negative reaction, some sort of like depressed feeling, some sort of anxiety, some sort of like thing that you do to cope, and you won't need to do any of it. You just be like,
it will seem outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah. And then you'll know this has worked. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Just chiming in.
And so that to me, like, if there's anything that I can tell someone to invest your time, energy, and money in, it's that. To me, the rest, listen, is it nice to know about the human brain? Yeah, it's nice to know. Does it actually make a long-lasting difference? Not really. Is it nice to know about the patterns that you run and when they got created and why they got created and the story of when it happened? Is it nice? Yes, it's really nice. Does it make a long-lasting difference? Not really.
Yeah, it's you're exchanging short-term comfort instead of long-term gain.
Yeah.
And long-term gain is really not about feeling better. It's what we say. It's about getting better at feeling. And that's the reality. Like life is going to be ups and downs and waves, like Elon is sharing. You know, one good intention turns into something difficult, or something terrible turns into something beautiful. It's not about trying to control the environment, which we can't do, it's about learning how to dance in the rain. And dancing in the rain means I find stability. We've all been in situations that are really difficult, and for some reason or another, didn't really impact us. We've all been in situations that were mildly difficult and been massively impacted. And so that will tell you, and vulnerability is a good thing, but I just want to use the definition as I intend, like where the vulnerabilities, where you get triggered in your system is, and all that means is during that experience in your developmental cycle when you grew up, when that happened, you didn't get the feedback that taught you how to have stability in that period of time. You're not broken, you're not wrong, you're not fucked up in any particular way. It's like we were all children that required feedback from our environment, feedback from our children, from our caregivers, feedback from the people around us to let us know that it was okay to have that experience in the way that we were having it. Most of us, all of us, did not get that feedback. And so that's what the system programs in. And then you repetition that over and over and over and over again. And that just becomes the way of it. And there are certain results that show up when you act from that energy. The reason people start having such variety in their experiences is because they stop acting from that energy when that thing shows up. Even if the thing shows up, even if it shows up over and over again, like Elon said, it's like we all, doesn't matter how much stuff you heal through or correct, you're going to get another look at it. You're going to get another look at your fear. You're going to get another look at your anxiety. You're going to get another look at your overwhelm. You're going to get another look at your finances. You're going to get another look at your health. You're going to get another look at your relationships. No matter how good you get at relationships or finances or health or any other area of life, there's going to be a situation that throws you for a loop. And it's in those moments that are your biggest learning experiences. Now, most people mistake when something comes back around again. They're like, didn't I already work through this? The work must not be working. I've done that myself. I don't know, a million times I've made that mistake. Because we all need the reminders, right? But here's the reality. You're never looking at it from the same perspective. As long as you're continuing to look within and challenge what you see and look at it from, how can I work this in a different way? How can I get support this time? How can I get different feedback than I got in the past? Then you get another look at it and you're like, oh, wow, this is really not like before. Even if the situation appears to your egoic mind like before, you got to feel into your body and be like, wow, I actually don't feel the same when this is happening again. I actually feel like, oh, wow, there's actually support here this time. And that's it. Because of that, you can move through it really quick. It doesn't hook you. And when things don't hook you, they don't stick around in your life for very long. You kind of like what Elon said, he got really taken for a loop yesterday, but it's like he now has this reassurance from doing so many repetitions that finding stability is not a challenging thing. He knows how to work his internal system and how to get support from the people around him and get his nervous system back into a healthy way. And having a healthy, regulated nervous system is the ultimate hack for a human being. Like, you want to know what a biohack is? Like, the ultimate well-being hack is learn how to regulate your nervous system. So when these things are happening in your life, you guys got to consider what's happening internally biochemically is your nervous system is totally out of whack. And it's trying to find its way back. But when it hasn't laid that groove yet and hasn't laid that path yet to how to find stability in that moment, it simply doesn't know. Again, it doesn't make you stupid, doesn't make you incapable, doesn't make you anything other than you have yet to have that experience. And that goes for everything, right? Like, Elon plays a lot of tennis. Nobody knows how to hit a perfect tennis ball unless they've done that mechanically hundreds of thousands of times, tens of thousands of times, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's the same thing for all of us. We all get dysregulated. What we want to have is practices in learning from our dysregulation and how to better regulate our nervous system next time that stimulus appears so we don't go for a ride. And so everything that we do here are pointers on noticing that dysregulation, because the quicker you can notice the dysregulation, the quicker you can go into practices that get you out of the dysregulation and back into stability and balance. And then the next part is learning not to meddle, not to do things in your life when you're dysregulated. Because the tendency is people act from the dysregulation, trying to fix the dysregulation, but what's acting is the dysregulation. So they're taking action from this dysregulated energy, and that dysregulation ends up creating more dysregulation in their life, which is then more for their system to have to respond to in dysregulation. And that just doesn't work for people. They start looping, and then they get afraid because it's not going away, and then they have like ongoing anxiety, and then they're overwhelmed by their circumstances. So it's like, can you build a capacity to pause when you're dysregulated and just stop everything and learn, holy shit, in this moment, I don't need to do something. I actually need to rest, and I need to get support, and I need to learn practices that allow for me to find that stability and regulation in my system again. And up until then, do not do anything in your life. Do not go have that conversation. Do not go work on your business. Do not try to get your health in order. Don't do those things, because the very foundation that's going to create newness and a state change and transformation in your life in that moment doesn't exist. All that exists is the pattern and the way that the pattern responds to things. And if you respond from the pattern, you're going to be like a clairvoyant person who already knows what's coming. It's like we all lie to ourselves when we act a certain way. And we're like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. It's like, well, that's happened a million times before when you've acted from that energy. So why would it be any different this time? And that's what we need to start bringing awareness to. That's why it's so important to take time in the day and watch yourself and feel yourself and notice yourself and do all these practices that enable you to increase your awareness to the point where regulation and well-being become a feeling within you, a sensation that you can't deny. And when you get dysregulated and you lose that, or you don't lose it, but it jogs out, you notice it immediately. You're like, oh, I'm not in my regulated state. And so you don't wait days, weeks, months to find that regulation again, because even the subtle dysregulation is enough to have you act from your patterns and parts. But that's the point. When you continue to do these practices, regulation and well-being becomes your natural state. Like you wake up into regulation, you wake up into well-being, you wake up into your awareness, and you can get pulled out of it because you haven't had every experience in life. There are certain things coming that still disturb that. But every time it disturbs that, it's another experience, it's another repetition, like Elon was doing with his biceps and shoulders, to strengthen that piece so that next time the stimulus comes, it doesn't dysregulate you. And then you start living more and more of your life in regulation and less time in dysregulation. And then more of your actions are coming from high quality energy. And then you're performing better, you're connecting better, you're feeling better. Like all those things come, not because you're trying to work on it, but because that's a mere byproduct of being in a regulated state on a regular basis. That's it.
Yeah. And so like people are kind of sharing some great things. And like, if someone were to ask me, okay, well, how do I do that? Who was it? I'm just going to use Robert Walker was saying, so is this the quote, feelings are not facts, a good premise to build on? And like, I just, Robert, really want to say like, not doing anything wrong. And notice that is the mind trying to turn this into some sort of process. Right, into some sort of like, oh, I'm going to just tell myself this and that. Fitz is also saying like different practices of like interpreting reality in a different way. Like that's all fine, and it makes no difference on the nervous system. If you are dealing with all of this through thoughts, through words, through understanding, through trying to make sense of it, you're missing the whole thing. Because this is not something that you learn and get smart about, or have some sort of process that like your mind's like, oh, I'm just going to do this. Because if you're processing it through mind, you're not actually dealing with anything in the body. And so when we've created MMI, what we created was a really powerful mindset mastery program. That program is like, after Guy and I had done mindset work and worked with incredible teachers for over 15 years, we were coaching for 11, 12 at that point. Like we had coached tens of thousands of people at that point. And like, that was the culmination of everything that we did about mindset, right? The Awareness Effect Academy, which is level 1, 2, and 3 training, that leaves all of that. Like we don't deal with mind. Level 1, maybe a little bit, because we're really like starting the transition from out of mind. So we have to obviously speak about mind. So if, Ken Wilber calls it like growing up work and waking up work. So MMI is the growing up work. It's a necessary foundation. if you're wanting the practices and experience that I'm pointing to right now, then the only place to get that is in the Awareness Effect Academy, level 1, 2, and 3, depending on kind of where you are in your journey. And just so you understand, like at level 2 and 3, you have a one-on-one coach that you sit with for an hour every couple of weeks. You have 4 group sessions that we're going to now add. It used to be 2. Now you're going to have 4 group sessions to do the practices in community. And these traumas that happened to all of us didn't happen when we were in a room by ourselves, like beating ourselves up. They happened when you were with another or with a group of others. And so the only way for your nervous system to receive the new information is to actually put yourself back in that situation. So however hard or not hard mom and dad in your life tried, if they didn't have this as the baseline, you, just like I said before, the way that you're templating your kids, that was your template. And that is baked into your nervous system. And the reason people get frustrated with personal development is the world of understanding, the world of mindset lets you see and understand why you are the way you are. But you can lie to yourself in your mind all you want. I don't know if any of you have been skydiving. When that fucking door opens, you are in pure and utter fear response. It is uncontrolled. I've done it 5 times, and trust me, I know what's coming. I know how exciting it's going to be. I know all of it. That door opens and that air starts to suck you out. I don't care what you tell yourself. Your body is freaking out. And everything inside of you wants to stay in that plane and disconnect from that person and be like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I did it 5 times. I still had that same exact response on the 5th time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you tell your body. It doesn't matter what you convince yourself of. It doesn't matter. Like, your body's going to have the natural reaction that the body has because the body doesn't forget. And what went in at age 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is still in there. No matter how much you try to change the story of how you operate in life. And so you might be able to like overcome it for spurts, but if it's in there, it's in there. And something's going to come and it's going to activate it. And that's the part where people get really disheartened when they do a lot of mindset work, is because like a few months go by or a year goes by or whatever it is. And you're like, how the fuck am I still dealing with this? Like, I thought I already went through this. And you did, through the mind. And that gave you an opening to like understand what has been keeping you trapped. It does not give you the key to unlock and untrap yourself and liberate yourself from that stuff. For that, you need presence. You need a new template, both in a one-on-one setting and in a group setting. And that's why we offer the programs in our Awareness Effect Academy in the way that we do. It's honestly, like, take it from people who have invested over $1 million and over 20 years each. There's no shortcuts. There's no quick fix. There's no magical guru or teacher or book or video out there. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. And so you're either going to be like more disheartened a year from now or 5 years from now or whatever it is, or you're going to stop and go, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to go in. I'm ready to go there with support so I don't have to do this by myself, because I've avoided all these scary ass places for a very long time and for a reason. And when people get that they don't have to do this on their own, and you can borrow my safety, Guy's safety, coach's safety to actually go to those places and liberate yourself from it with not having to understand it, or like actually go into the pain or the memory. Like, we don't even have to do any of that. Your body remembers. I can just say, hey, think of a situation in your life that's upsetting you right now and watch what happens. Your stomach will start to tighten. Your solar plexus will squeeze. Some of you, maybe your heart will like pinch, your throat. Look, it's happening. And there's no amount of you telling yourself like, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, that's going to change that. What you need is new pathways to actually drink the safety into your system. Because right now it's like most of us are arid deserts, right? And the rain falls, but it just sits on top because there's no pathways for any of that stuff to get in. So again, to put a whole bow on this, like whether you're an MMI and you found your way into this community because you were looking to make a shift, look, if this is the kind of work that you really want to do and this resonates with you, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find that in MMI. You're not. You're going to find an amazing foundation and a mindset mastery that will like blow any, books and all that stuff out of the water. But like, it's not this. So if you're ready for this kind of work, again, Guy has the offer up. Book a call with me. We'll dive deep into this, and I'll even highlight for you the parts of you internally that are creating that stuckness for you. And then you can choose. Do I want to get support, or do I want to keep doing this on my own? The choice is always yours.
We do not recommend the latter. We've not seen that work for people ever. Like having a community around you of like-minded people going through the same thing, supporting each other in work with very specific practices. And that's the thing, like you guys can go and try to figure this stuff out on your own, like we have, and like many other millions of people are trying to do every single day. You go, there's got to be some process out there, some secret thing. Look, there's a lot of good things that work out there, but nothing is an end-all be-all solution to healing, transformation, or performance gains, right? They all highlight a little something special, but it has to work with conjunction with something. You can do the most profound healing work and be totally light and like, oh my God, I'm free. And 3 days later, be like right back in your stuff because you haven't learned how the mind works yet. And so there's bridging education that gets you to learn how to think in a way that doesn't put you back into trappings. And then there's like actually doing like deep resonant healing work that literally heals you at like the level of cellular tissue, right? And you can't, like healing is a combination of understanding and a deep felt sense within happening simultaneously. And that's exactly what trauma was. Trauma wasn't like your dad beat you and you're like, oh, dad's not a good guy. It was like there was a thought and there was a internal experience happening simultaneously. That's what, quote, memory is. It's not some arbitrary thing happening in the brain. It's smell, it's sound, it's so many things coming together to create a particular experience. And so it's important that we work all those parts and that we also work relationally, because we are relational beings within ourselves, and the work that we can do with the work that we do with others and the work that we do with group. And this is why if you go through L1, L2, and L3, you'll see it. This is how we design our work. We design it to your self-to-self practices, the work you do with others, and then the work that you do at the level of group, and vice versa, the work the group does with you and then the work another person does with you. In our opinion, we have not seen anybody really heal from something. And just so we're clear, healing doesn't mean it goes away. That's a misnomer. Healing means it's now integrated. Integration means you're not afraid of it, you're not worried about it, and you meet it with compassion and love every single time it arises. That's what that means. If you're spending your time trying to get rid of some characteristic that you have, you are wasting your flippin' time. I'm just going to say that straight out. I have not been able to get rid of any characteristic that I have. Oftentimes they're enhanced. Here's where we get freedom, is when you have love and compassion for when it arises. That's it. That's what freedom is. Then you'll see it doesn't hook you, it moves through you. And that's what we want. That's what integration is the charge hits the body and it moves through. If the charge hits the body and it gets stuck, that's what we would call quote unquote trauma from an energetic perspective. So we want to work on becoming fluid machines, just like when you see children, they go from one emotional experience to the next, one emotional experience to the next, right? Very quick, happy, sad, smiling, this, that. That's what a fluid system looks like. An adult, mind you, for all your wisdom, you get stuck in your parts, left, right, and center. Do the work that gets you back to becoming a fluid system. It's not about this work is not about adding more shit to your life. It's about subtracting what's in the way from you experiencing yourself as you are, from a loving, unconditional place. That's what all this work is about. Love you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.